Hello there, friends and fellow Modernauts. Welcome to the first update video of my devlog for the Star Wars Galaxy's Reimagined personal project that I'm creating. The first videos that I did was a time-lapse and introduction video, and I kind of thought what or how can I create these videos, and maybe even thought more of them as like an update video every week or every 2 weeks, depending on when I can make these videos, and then show my progress in those videos and maybe point out things that I have done, how I modeled it. And this is kind of like what I want this devlog series to be about. I might do tutorials in the future, and these will be separate videos. If there's something special that I think I can make a video out of it, tutorial video out of it, then I will make a separate video. This would be more helpful. And the devlog is really something that shows, okay, what did I do in Modo, maybe in plasticity, how did I paint or did other things in Unreal, that I can kind of like show the workflow of the whole thing. I started with a test scene to see, okay, how do I start modeling the level, because the level is made up of several sections, and I started with the first section or first room and started modeling the first walls, the light pillar. Now the window is complete. But at this point, I realized after I extracted the whole map in its single pieces, you can see it here in the complete level scene, that I extracted every single element to combine them to see, okay, here are all the light pillars, then I have corridor light pillars, I have the different walls, all these make up the whole map. And this is the way I thought, okay, how to create this map, figure out every single piece, and then place it there, and step by step I get this level done. But I realized that because they use only textures and they have no real modularity in there, many pieces are the same, but some walls, they are squished together just to fit in that space. So I thought, okay, I need to approach it differently and even more modularize my walls into single pieces that I can better reuse them. And then I also realized that the way I want to model it, modeling every detail, this is just not gonna work. I mean, it might work, but I'm just a solo developer and it's a time issue. And so I'm looking more into older methods using trim sheets and decals, so that many details will be put into textures, and then I can reuse them here and save time instead of modeling everything in. And yeah, Nanite is great in Unreal Engine 5, but it also has its downsides because it just takes so much time modeling stuff in than using textures or older methods where assets can be created faster. And so this is a kind of milestone right now where I'm at, where I'm thinking about changing things, testing things out. And this is why I think this is now a good opportunity to show what I have done so far, how I approached it, and what I learned from it, and what my next steps will be. So if we go back to the test scene, you can see I created 3 different wall types with 4, 6, and 8 elements based on the original map, and that light pillar and the big window over here. So let's have a look at the light pillar, how I created that. So let's go to that light pillar scene. I used mashups and mostly booleans with that. So I took the original shape. Let's go to mashups and the light pillar. So I took the original shape from, or the shape from the original models, and adjusted it a little bit so that I have a base light pillar, use a merge meshes operation. Then I created all these cutters for carving out the different sections in that light pillar. So if we go, for example, the outer cutter looks like this, the side panels, the inner cutters, the light cutters, basically single pieces. And in that mesh up, I start with the outer cutter, the inner, then I add the lights and the side panels. And so I have like a base mesh that I can use for then beveling the edges and using that as a base for some vertex normal operations. So I froze the mesh, then have my light pillar base, adjusted the mesh a little bit, cleaned up some edges that it's better fit for the beveling part. Then I beveled the whole mesh and created the connections on the curves to the corner points and stuff. But you can see here, after beveling, and this is part of the Boolean workflow, that you get shading issues. I'll turn off the other object as well, that you get shading issues here after the beveling operations. And this is where under the game tools, the transfer normals come in handy, where I kind of transfer the normals from that original unbeveled mesh, which has correct shading. And the way I do this is basically I turn both on. Every other object has to be invisible. Then I isolate it, basically, the beveled version. And then I can select the face. And with the correct version, normals is hidden or is isolated, and then I can transfer the normals, and you can see the change here that it fixed the normals on this part, on these parts. Maybe it's hard to see on the video, but you can see these big issues here. And if I, let's say, select these and transfer the normals there, you can see now the issues are fixed, while on this side it's still, especially in this area, there's these shading errors. So this is how I kind of prepare my meshes. I boolean them, then I bevel them, and then I fix the shading issues with transfer normals. And then I have my finished version here and use this as a base mesh in my test scene. And then using instances to place them into the scene. And I did the same thing with the wall. Have a look at this test project, because I realized this wall and the others, the bigger walls, they have so many Boolean operations that it slowed down a Modo, and it takes a long time to display, or until it first displays. It takes a while and then you can work with it. So I pushed them over into a different project, created the whole thing there. And you can see here it has a lot more Boolean operations. So this is the base mesh that I used, and then you can see I added all the Booleans, have all these cutters in here basically, and so I did one Boolean after the other, added the details until I reached the final model. And I did the same thing with the other ones. And this is one thing that I'm realizing now, is that I should have done this more modular, so that the bottom part is maybe one piece here. The other sections that I create more modular single pieces that I can then stick together. And then, for example, in the map later in some other rooms, there will be walls where the pipes are on the bottom. And so I just need them now as single pieces that I can better reuse them and save time by doing it. So in the end, this whole project is a big adventure for me, learning a lot of things and figuring things out. So I learned a lot now from creating this test scene and figured out what I need to do next, the changes and so on in my workflow. And let's have a look, before we close this video, at the Unreal scene. So this is basically the scene in Unreal. And let's hit play, for example, and walk around a little bit, see how big this is. And you can see all the details and how nice it is. So yeah, this is kind of like the beginnings of that first map. And I just need to figure out some ways to create these assets faster, because this level is huge and it's just a tutorial level, and there are so many more things to do in the game. So I need to figure out things, different workflows to make it faster, like using trim sheets for details, like other things maybe. And even if that means I cannot reach the visual quality that I had in mind using Nanite, using Unreal Engine 5 and so on, but these are only speculations. I can only find out once I'm doing it. And so in the next milestone of that map or in the next phase, I will try some trim sheets, some other modeling techniques, and put these together and then create the map. And if we go back to the complete scene, for example, you can see I wanted to start with the floor first, then put all the light pillars in here, the walls, and I have to then figure out how to best do this and create the floors. I even tried some mesh ops to create procedurally floor tiles. I have a tutorial from Richard Yard where he really shows how mesh ops working, and he uses or creates a tile generator there. But this is too much hassle. If I can use a texture instead, maybe nanite displacement and so on. So I need to use more textures for details because this will save time. But anyways, this is the first update, and maybe in a week or two when I reached the next milestone or have some more stuff to show, I will create a new video and show you guys what I've done. Okay, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one.